I am Sapna Shah. I am a family law barrister. I practice at 33 Bedford Row Chambers. In terms of my roles, I'm a mother, I'm a wife, I'm a daughter, and I'm a family law barrister. The roles professionally, I practice specifically in the areas of private children and finances. So when a family breaks down, those two tend to go together. I have recently been invited to become head of private family law at Chambers. It's very exciting for me. And I am also a Middle Temple advocacy trainer. And I also sit on a committee for the organisation resolution. I sit on the litigants in person committee. In terms of a typical day at work, I would say that I do a lot of prep work in the mornings. So if I know whatever type of hearing it might be, of course, we will get the work, we will get the case papers in advance. So I'll start preparing that and I'll try and get an hour or two done actually before I even leave for court. If I'm in court, then it'll be about getting to court minimum an hour early, depending on what time that court building opens. Having a meeting with the client, that's always crucial if I've not met with the client in advance, although I have to say, mostly I have met with that client in advance, talking the client through the procedure, explaining what will happen, what won't happen, what might happen, what won't, actually getting into that hearing itself. And there are days when we finished at 5, by the time you stop and have a post-hearing meeting. And then it's the usual, back home, engaging in that family life. So I was never one for going into something like corporate commercial world. I don't feel I would even have, the skills to deal with that work. It's high pressured. I feel I'm more suited to dealing with a person face to face. I like that touch, that feeling of working with someone face to face and saying, look, here are the issues, how are we going to get through them? Of course, when you walk out of court or when you walk out of a negotiation and you feel that you've achieved what your client wanted you to achieve, there's no greater feeling. And I imagine that any lawyer practicing in any area would say the same. But for me, in terms of family law, it really is about saying, look, day to day, I love family. I have family, I'm grateful, but day to day, what is this person feeling and how can I help? So it's the connection. Maybe what I'm trying to say is it's a human connection that I feel I'm suited to. One of, I suppose, the major ones is the no-fault divorce that's come through. It used to be the situation that a divorcing couple would basically have to set out a reason and potentially play a blame game before they were given that permission by a court to actually go down the route of divorce. And I know that goes back to historic times and the idea that once you're married for life. That's played a huge change in the landscape of family law, because I believe one of the ideas may have been to reduce acrimony from the start, where the couple can actually say, look, this has happened. We don't need to show anybody that you did this or I did this. We just want to get on and break. And if they've got children, then that needs to be sorted. So I believe that that's a major, major change. For me, also, when I practice family law, a major change is this whole concept of resolving via mediation, looking at other ways of resolving, private FDRs, arbitration. So mediation, which I'm sure you're aware of, is this idea that before Mr. and Mrs. X embark on this expensive, time-consuming legal proceeding, take a look, go and see an independent neutral third party and see if you can resolve these issues before you come into court. That's a major change. And those of us in family law, particularly those of us who are members of the organisation resolution, the aim behind it all is to say, look, we're lawyers, but at the end of the day, hopefully we're on the side of trying to resolve these two parties' issues without ourselves engaging in acrimony or sort of, getting involved in sort of this contest. It's a big change, and I'm not saying that it's completely successful in terms of, everybody does it and everybody goes away and says, I don't want to go to court. No, that's not the case at all. But I think the concept of judges saying, look, we need to try and resolve this, let's try and find a way, is a major change. My husband first sparked my interest in Lexis AI, and I will tell you exactly how. It's not Lexis AI, it's that chat. It's the chat GPT. Take a look at this, And this is because that's been around now for, I don't know how long, but it's been around. There were a couple of members in chambers, in fact, who signed up very, very early to it. And I spoke with them. And I just started looking into it in terms of my own research. One of your colleagues, I asked for a chat online. And I think what attracts me to it even now is the accuracy. Is this I think it's premised on, look, everything that our answers give you will be accurate in terms of case law and statute. And I got to tell you, that's what attracted me to it. We've all heard about the cases and the stories where the wrong information is being used. It would completely mortify me were that to happen, and I hope it never does. So that's essentially how I got into it. It's taking me time to learn how to use it. I know that your trainers are constantly there to help. So there's no issue about me just, I think, picking up the phone or sending an email. It's just having that time to do it. It is taking me time to learn, because I believe what I'm learning is, at the end of the day, you're the human and you need to know how to type in the right queries. But once I do, it actually helps build my own creativity. And I don't know if that sounds ridiculous. To me, what it does is, I will ask a general question, and what it will do is it will actually bring up all of the issues that I need to consider. So maybe what I mean is, it's actually helping me to think outside the box. Recent examples. When have I used it? I have to say at the moment I'm using it every day. Even if it's just standard questions to double check my knowledge of that particular statute or law, I'm actually using it every day. Yesterday, I sat with a client in conference, or was it? No, it wasn't yesterday, it was last week. And I asked it with the client. I asked the questions with the client sitting there. I'm glad I did. And I don't have an issue with actually saying to the parties around me, can I just take a look at this? Can I just look this up? I think that's part and parcel of being somebody who gives advice. Look, can I say this? There's always going to be a need, in my view, and here we are in 2025, not knowing what AI is going to bring us when our children grow older. But there's always going to be a need, in my view, for advocacy, meaning a human to communicate to a tribunal on behalf of his or her client, their client. There's always going to be that need, but it's how is that need projected, and can AI assist us? That's exactly how it does assist us, and exactly how it can. I tend to be traditional. I tend to be, no, got to do it the old-fashioned way in terms of so many things. But we have to move with the times. And as long as we're aware of potential pitfalls, we should move with things like Lexis AI, and we should use them to assist us. I've done a couple of different types of work recently, so still family law related, but not directly Children Act matters where there's Children Act applications that I'm familiar with, not directly financial relief matters that I'm familiar with. And what it's done is, in the middle of a hearing where I've got my laptop in front of me, I have asked it a question about a particular regulation and it's pulled up the answer. What do I like about it? That's great, that's always great. But I suppose many would say, well, I can do that on a Google search. What I like about it is I have gone to the level of uploading a couple of documents and then asking it to help me draft, for example, a submission for a specific point. Now, what it does is you have to be very specific. This is what I mean about learning how to use it. You have to be very specific about what you're asking it to do. But it's actually pulled up draft submissions. Now, it's up to the person using it to then turn that into his or her own or their own language. Because otherwise you're not being who you are. You've got to bring yourself into it. But that has been really helpful for me. There's a feature where if you upload certain documentation, it'll give you a summary of the papers you've got. Now that has to be incredibly helpful and important to someone who's in a rush. Nothing will ever take away from you reading everything. But if it's a specific point you're looking for and it reduces the time because it's giving you that summary, then that is, I have to say, reduced, say 4 hours down to 1 or 2. So that's the example that I can give you. The immediate time saver is what I said just recently about tapping in a question while I'm in court, waiting for my opponent to finish. If that's going to come up immediately, then that's a time saver because of course I'm not then asking for time. Same goes with a conference with a client or with a solicitor. So that's how I would say it. The impact on the bar, again, repeating, it's coming, it's here to stay. So the impact on the bar is, it's about using it to its advantage. Exactly what I said, helping with drafting. I'm not a contract lawyer, but documents, pleadings, helping with that, helping with the research. So my experience with it is navigating. It's been a little bit of a challenge navigating it. But my experience in terms of what I say to you today is positive. It will gain traction as it needs to. And I actually like the idea that the legal profession isn't sitting back, waiting for the rest of the world and watching, the news and saying, oh, look, there's a robot there. Whatever it is. I like the idea that the legal profession, those of you who are putting this out there, haven't just ignored the legal profession and said they don't need it, because I believe we do.